Hello, I'm Kimilia and this is KiniNews. MACC Chief Azam Baki has reiterated that the MACC does not receive instructions from any parties. This came following claims that a probe was initiated due to the argument between Anwar and Radzi Jidin in Parliament. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission has clarified that their investigation into the 80 million ringgit book printing project given out while Radzi Jidin was Education Minister began around a month ago. MACC Chief Commissioner Azam Baki said this while denying that the investigation was done at the request of any parties or had anything to do with the dispute between Radzi and Prime Minister Ibrahim on September 19th. Utusan Malaysia quoted Azam as saying that they had begun investigating the case around a month prior. He added that the recent report made by a group of individuals is only additional information that would be considered by the MACC. He was referring to the MACC report filed by Federal Territories UMNO on the book printing project last Thursday. Azam also responded to the claims by Bersatu's Legal Bureau Deputy Chief Sasha Laina Abdul Latif that Prime Minister Ibrahim was allegedly abusing enforcement agencies to harass his political opponents. He said that the MACC is a neutral party and will continue to carry out their investigations without pressure from any parties. When asked whether Radzi would be called to facilitate investigations, he said that it would depend on the team investigating the case. He said they would make the decision to call him in if they needed to. So far, the MACC has recorded statements from 5 witnesses to 8 investigations regarding the case. The statements were recorded after 2 individuals, including a political secretary of a senior minister, were detained by the MACC last Friday. Radzi had previously denied that he was involved in the direct tender of the project whilst he held the cabinet post. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fadzil said there were no discussions regarding a cabinet reshuffle in the cabinet meeting today. He said this when asked about the rumours of potential cabinet changes in the coalition government led by Prime Minister Ibrahim. Previously, it was reported that there would be a cabinet reshuffle in Anwar's administration, with several ministers expected to be dropped after the Pelangai by-election on October 7th. As the coalition government's spokesperson, Fahmi said the cabinet meeting had mainly focused on discussing and finding solutions to rice price and supply issues. He said he was made to understand that Agriculture and Food Security Minister Muhammad Sabu will hold a press conference later to announce the details of several decisions made regarding the issues. Khairi has backed a proposal to abolish pensions for MPs and ministers and to place them under the EPF scheme. Former UMNO leader Khairi Jamaluddin has agreed with the suggestion to abolish pensions for elected representatives and place them under the Employees' Provident Fund. In the latest episode of his podcast, Khairi said that he would be ready to switch his pension from the government to the EPF scheme.
Ya, 100%. Kalau saya boleh convert saya punya pension jadi KWSP, sila buat. Sebab saya rasa pension ni satu benda yang antiquated, yang dah
lapuk.
Zaman dia lapuk, dah zaman dia dah berlalu. Saya waktu saya ada dalam Jemaah Menteri, saya kata ada 3 benda yang perlu kita buat untuk kita menjaga kedudukan fiskal kita. Yang pertama, GST kena diperkenalkan semula GST. Yang kedua, subsidy rationalisation. So daripada 2 ni, satu kerajaan kata dia nak buat subsidy rationalisation, although kita tak tahu apa mekanisme dia. GST masih lagi wait and see. Yang ketiga adalah to stop the pension.
Meanwhile, on pensions for civil servants, Khairi said that his suggestion is to enroll new civil servants who join after a set date under the EPF. He said it would not affect current civil servants who are already in the service and are eligible for the retirement scheme. He added that it should be done as soon as possible because any delay will continue to add on to the nation's pension bill. Previously, Khazanah Research Institute Director Muhammad Abdul Khalid had proposed to scrap pensions for all MPs and ministers, saying they should be on the same boat as the people.
We are often faced with nutrient deficiency needed for our body. This is why I choose G-Sure. G-Sure is the first plant-based and complete nutrition drink that helps to improve the immune system and strengthen our bodies. It has to be Good Morning G-Sure.
The court has set the date to hear the prosecution's appeal against Muhyiddin's power abuse acquittal. The case will be heard on February 28th next year. The Court of Appeal has fixed 2 days beginning February 28th next year to hear the prosecution's appeal against the decision to acquit and discharge Muhyiddin Yassin of 4 counts of abuse of power involving 232.5 million ringgit in connection with the Jana Wibawa project. The date was set following case management at the Court of Appeal today. Deputy Public Prosecutor Wan Shaharuddin Wanladin and Muhyiddin's lawyer Chetan Jethwani confirmed the matter when contacted. Meanwhile, Wan Shaharuddin said the Sessions Court has fixed November 29 to hear the prosecution's appeal to get an order to temporarily stay the proceedings of the other 3 charges of receiving proceeds from unlawful activities preferred against Muhyiddin pending disposal of its appeal at the Court of Appeal. On August 15th, the High Court allowed Muhyiddin's application to strike out the 4 charges after he ruled that the charges were vague, flawed, and unfounded. High Court Judge Muhammad Jamil Hussain subsequently acquitted and discharged the former Prime Minister. The prosecution then filed its notice of appeal on the same day. PAS has announced that they will only decide on whether or not to appeal the court's decision to nullify their victory in Kemaman once they have reviewed the grounds of judgment. PAS will analyze the grounds of judgment before deciding on whether to appeal against the election court's nullification of Perikatan national lawmaker Che alias Hamid's victory for the Kemaman parliamentary seat. This is according to PAS Secretary General Taqiyuddin Hassan. Yesterday, the Kuala Terengganu High Court had nullified Che alias's victory for the seat after allowing an election petition by voter Wan Muhammad Hisham Wan Abdul Jalil. The Election Commission will declare the parliamentary seat vacant, paving the way for a by-election if PN does not file an appeal within 14 days. In addition, the court also ordered 30,000 ringgit costs to be paid by Che alias to the petitioner. Meanwhile, PN Youth Chief Ahmad Fadli Shari said they respected the court's decision and left it to the coalition's leadership to decide on whether to appeal against the verdict. In a statement on Facebook, he said if the party decides to not appeal, there will be a by-election and the taxpayers' money will have to be spent to hold the polls. He added that they would defend the Kemaman parliamentary seat again and hopefully win it with an even bigger majority. In GE15, Che alias won Kemaman with a 27,000 vote majority over BN's Ahmad Said, Pakatan Harapan candidate Hasuni Sudin and Pejuang candidate Rosli Abdul Ghani. A Malacca State Exco has warned of stern action against any parties that hide rice or lie when packing rice. This came after he conducted surprise inspections at several stores and factories in the state. Malacca Rural Development, Agriculture and Food Security Committee Chairperson Muhammad Akmal Saleh conducted several surprise checks at rice factories and shops around the state over the past week. This came following the issue of rice supply shortage in the country since earlier this month, with reports that local white rice was difficult to obtain in shops and supermarkets. Akmal told Malaysia Kini that he had done checks at shops and will be checking wholesalers, then the manufacturers, in order to find out what the obstacles are. He also expressed his disappointment with certain quarters who disobeyed the set price of 2.60 ringgit per kg for local white rice, as stated in the Control of Paddy and Rice Act 1994. He said sometimes the reports show that there is enough rice, but the reality is different as instructions issued by the Ministry for the People did not actually reach them. Recently, a video of one of his surprise inspections had gone viral on social media. In the video, Akmal was seen being stern with one of the manufacturers who allegedly refused to sell local rice with a price set at 26 ringgit for 10 kg. The clip showed that the manufacturers refused to comply with the government's instructions because of the small profit margin compared to selling imported rice. In response, Akmal said that it is the government's order and if they say there is no profit, he would revoke their license and give it to someone else. Akmal also issued a warning that he would not compromise with any party that wanted to make huge profits from the people's woes. He said stern action will be taken if he finds out that parties are hiding rice or lying when packing rice. The government recently included imported rice, which is not a controlled item and is more expensive than local rice, in its Rahmah sales initiative as a short-term solution. Through the program, consumers can obtain rice at a subsidized price through a 150 million ringgit allocation passed by Parliament. Saifudin has denied claims that he has apologized to Sanusi over his remarks on the REE issue. He said the claims were false and he was still prepared to face Sanusi in court over the remarks. Home Minister Saifudin Nasution has denied apologizing to Kedah Menteri Besar Muhammad Sanusi Matnor over his claims on the rare earth resources in Kedah. He said this in response to claims circulating online that he had apologized for his claims that Sanusi had abused his position as Menteri Besar and Menteri Besar Incorporated chairperson to steal or be complicit in the theft of Kedah's rare earth resources. Instead, Saifudin said the claim was not true and is clearly a desperate slander from Sanusi, who would use any tactic, including insults and profanity. He said the case has yet to start and lawyers from both parties are still dealing with documentation. He also challenged Sanusi to stop his alleged slander and face him with arguments and evidence in court. Malaysia Kini has contacted the Kedah Menteri Besar's office for comment. Previously, Sanusi had filed a defamation suit against Saifudin regarding statements linking him to the theft of rare earth elements in Bukit Enggang, SIK, Kedah. Sanusi is also suing Saifudin over his claim that he had used 1.6 billion ringgit from the Malaysian Road Record Information System allocation for road maintenance for other development purposes. In response to Sanusi's letter of demand on August 9th, Saifudin had stood by his claims. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to Kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. If you would like to support independent media, do consider subscribing to MalaysiaKini.com. I'm Kimilia. Thanks for watching.